Hi everyone, my name's Ashley and I am a newborn and family photographer in Hawaii. And unfortunately, with everything that is going on with coronavirus, our state, like many others, are basically locked down, meaning you can only leave your house if you're grocery shopping or if your job is essential. And unfortunately, newborn photography is not essential. So, I've had a couple families I've had to just put on hold. I've had a couple people reach out to me asking if there's anything that they could do, and unfortunately, it's a super unfortunate situation where no one saw this coming. There is no plan B. It's not like you can wait a couple days until you're over your sickness. Like, it's a really unfortunate situation. So I decided I'd put together a short little video with some quick tips on how you can do your newborn pictures at home. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is prep your gear. Maybe while your baby's napping or the night before, get out your camera. Make sure you have a full charge and a clean card, because let me tell you, there is nothing worse than when you get everything set up and ready to go, and then you get a flash that your memory card's full or your battery's flashing. And with newborns especially, there's very small windows, so you're trying to make sure they're fed, happy, and asleep. So you don't want to have to stop and charge your gear or try to frantically clean off your card. You're going to be hormonal. This is already a stressful time. So trust me, learn from my mistakes of having my first child. Clean card, full battery. And also, you're going to want to make sure that you've kind of gathered everything that you're going to need, which I'll talk about more, but that's also something good prep work that you can do. So speaking of camera, something that you're going to want to do is, I'm sure your camera's on auto, which is totally fine. What I recommend doing is, you're probably going to have to go through your camera manual if you don't already know, but check your camera's white balance. Sometimes, when you're fumbling around and you don't know what buttons you're pushing, it can get changed. And I don't know if you've ever taken pictures and they've been like super yellow or super blue. That's because your white balance isn't correct. So what I recommend is just going into auto white balance. Cameras are pretty good at figuring it out itself. Auto white balance obviously means your camera is picking the white balance. And so what I would recommend, and I'll show you what it looks like. So on mine, this is what it looks like. So I'm looking for where it says auto 1, and that's how I know. So if you see any of these other things, it means you're not in auto white balance. So just keep scrolling until you see auto. And that's a good way to know that at least your camera is doing its best to get the temperature correct. So the second thing that you're going to do is pick your room. So there's a couple of things to consider. What room has the best light? And as far as like best light, that doesn't necessarily mean the brightest, because sometimes rooms get direct sunlight, and that, like when you see like the big sunspots on the floor, you don't want that. So you're looking for just like a nice even light. Also, the rooms that I prefer usually are bedrooms. And so my master bedrooms, which I'm in right now, is the room that if I was photographing a baby in this house, it's the room that I would pick. So number one, it has, you can kind of see like it's nice even light, and then our bed is just a nice big open space. It's cushioned, so your baby's going to be comfortable. So I always would recommend picking a bed. If you have like a big ottoman, that would work. Couches are a little too soft and lumpy usually, so beds are, they're firm, you have like a big blanket, they're more ideal. Okay, so you've picked your room. The next thing you're going to do, and this is probably the most important thing, it's something that now that I've started shooting more in people's homes, I'm constantly panning around. What doors are open? Is there clutter here? So you want to just walk around and kind of declutter your room. It doesn't have to be clean. This is something I always tell my newborn clients. Your house does not have to be spotless, and it does not have to be immaculately clean. Shove things in the closet. Like, it does not matter. So especially in a master bedroom, we tend to have a lot of stuff on our nightstands, especially if you're nursing. You probably have like your pump or bottles, and then you have like your pads and stuff. And so you don't want those living in your pictures forever, right? That's probably a part of postpartum that we would like to fall to the wayside. So when you pick your room, just do a quick pan. So that is what I'm going to do right now. So As you can see right here, I have some clutter on the nightstand that I am going to just put in the drawers of the nightstand, and then I'm done. So now you've got your room, you have decluttered it. Turn your heat on. So if you live in Hawaii, you probably don't A, have heat, or B, need heat. So what I recommend is just turning off your ceiling fans. You just want your room to be warm, because if you think about it, your baby just spent 9 months in 98 degrees. So they like to be warm. It's comforting to them. So step number 3 is to prep your baby. So I know that this seems like a lot of prep work and we haven't even actually gotten to taking pictures yet, but that's most of what newborn photography is. It's all this prep work. So then the second you start working with your baby, you're ready to roll. You don't want to have to stop and do all of these things once your baby is full and happy. So we're going to prep our baby. So that means we're going to change their diaper, get them a nice clean diaper, and we're going to nurse them. I like to try to change the diaper first and then nurse, which is a little bit opposite of what you might normally do. But we want to try to lull your baby to sleep, and most babies will nurse to sleep. Okay, so now we're actually going to get into some tips. So I think that the simplest thing to do is to do swaddled pictures. So that way they're nice and sleep, they're wrapped up nice and tight. You can get some good pictures of them that way, and then unwrap them, and you can either put on some little shorts or a little diaper cover of some sort, or I think white onesies are always classic. So those are the 2 different things that I'm going to show you how to do today. So number 1, the wrap. So I always am going to go with natural colors. It's what I prefer, and I also think it's the cleanest. So I just grabbed this big muslin swaddle blanket. Okay, so what I do, I have my swaddle, I did the big square, and then I just turned the corner down. And then I have my baby, who is clean diaper, fully fed and happy, get all the gas off their tummy, etc. And I'm gonna just swaddle my baby as tight as possible. Like I said, with the babies liking heat, they also were very smushed up in your belly, and so that is very comforting to them. So I am going to wrap my baby up nice and snug. If you've ever done a session with me, you know that I typically wrap on my lap. I think it's a little bit easier to have control, so that is something that you can try. And so I have this long tail. What I'll probably do is just tuck it under. You can just kind of play with it. Sometimes it's kind of nice trailing off. Okay, so my baby is swaddled. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to point, so here's my light. This is my source of light coming from my window. So I'm going to point my baby to the light. That's probably the most important tip. So I've got my baby pointed towards the light. And I've got my camera. And then what I would recommend is just taking a lot of pictures. The good thing about digital photography is that it's basically free. It's not like film where every exposure has a dollar amount associated with it. So I recommend just taking a lot of pictures, a lot of angles. So you can do some, from this way. And then, change your orientation, get in close, come back far away, get it over baby. So if you notice, I kind of just naturally double it up around my wrist. I do that a lot when I am shooting further back. If I'm ever going to shoot up over a baby, I always have the camera strapped around my neck. So you would never, ever, ever, you would never be able to forgive yourself if you dropped your camera on your baby, right? So either around your wrist or around your neck, just for safety. So up over, and then you can, you can change it up. So you can do your baby flat on their back and shoot up over this way. You can do headbands and hats, whatever you have. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is then you can unwrap your baby, and you can either do, like I said, the diaper cover or the white onesie. I think it's cute if they're not fussy to let them kick around. And then you kind of can repeat the whole thing again. You can do up overhead, You can, something that I like to do is get down low and get their profile with their sweet little noses. You can get their toes. I would just focus on getting a lot of details, like what makes a newborn a newborn. Their little ears, their little nose, their little lips, finger. I'm gonna do it one more time, all over again from this angle. So, I've got my swaddle. Turn down my corner. Yeah, this time, sometimes though it can look a little messy, so you're just trying to stay like as clean as possible. But I've got my baby swaddled, head pointed towards the light source. Around my wrist, and then taking pictures this way. So another angle that I like is to have the baby at the foot of the bed. Again, their head is pointed towards the window, the light source, and then you can shoot back this way, and this is where having your nightstands clean is important, but it gives you some good depth that way, and I always think that makes a nice picture. Okay, so as you notice, most of this video was prep work, which again, like I had mentioned before, prep work and having everything ready to go for when your baby is fed and happy is the most important thing that you can do when taking your baby's pictures. So again, just to kind of like quickly go over the tip here. Number one, prep your gear. Make sure you have a full battery charge and a clean card. Check your white balance. Maybe practice a few shots with your camera, get a good feel of it. Number two is to pick and prep your room. So remember, you're looking for nice even light, a nice like a bed or something of the sort, a nice soft and a large safe surface to work on. And then you're going to prep that room, so you're going to make sure it's nice and warm, your ceiling fans are turned off, your heat is on if you live somewhere other than Hawaii. You're going to declutter your room, make sure your nightstands are clean, check your background, shut any doors you need to shut, just put anything on the ground out the way that you don't want living in your pictures forever. And then you're going to prep your baby, that's number three, so clean diaper, fed and happy, no gas bubbles, and then you're going to want to swaddle them up nice and tight, point their head towards your source of light, take lots and lots of pictures, lots and lots of angles. Then you can, if they happen to be awake and not sleepy, then you can, and if they're happy, let them kick around, try to get their little hands, like the newborn stretches and yawns, all their little details, get their little button noses, their lips, little fingers and toes. I like to shoot one kind of like down on their head to get all their little peach fuzz. If they have any, both my boys came out like super bald. So I guess the last thing that I want to say is that, you know, this is a super stressful time for everyone. There's so much uncertainty and it just feels very overwhelming right now. And you have a baby, and I still hope that this is a sweet time for you and that you're able to enjoy your baby. And I know that it's very upsetting to not be able to get newborn pictures like you thought you were going to. So I hope that these tips can help you a little bit, and I tell you as someone who has okay, pictures of my first and then like professional pictures of my second, it's okay. Like, I have one picture of my oldest that came out decent, and it's fine. It's framed. At the end of the day, like, I have a picture of him when he's little. Do the best you can. Take as many pictures as you can. You know, at the end of the day, you'll be glad that you have something rather than nothing. So even, you know, if you have to use your iPhone, that's okay. Everything I told you today still applies if you're using an iPhone. And I'm here for you. If you have any questions, please reach out. Let me know. I'll do my best to help you virtually. And I'm sending you a big virtual hug. Bye, guys. So something else that I just thought about is that I'm probably going to get a lot of questions about camera and lenses, since Amazon is still delivering, hint hint, and sells camera gear. And I can attest, I have ordered camera gear through Amazon and it's always been fine. So in my pictures today, I was shooting with a 35 prime. A kit lens will work if you're in the market for a lens or would like to have something to do to pass the time, because we all suddenly have a lot of time on our hands, this is a lens that I always recommend to people. It is a very solid, great starter lens, and it's really cheap. So you've probably, if you've done any kind of research, you've probably heard of like the Nifty 50. So this is your Nifty 50. It's a 50mm prime, and Nikon and Canon both make them. There is a super, super cheap version of it, but it doesn't autofocus. So if you are going to buy this, make sure, I'm not 100% sure what it says for Canon. For Nikon, it'll say AF-S. That's the one you're looking for. It's still cheap, it's just not as cheap as the cheapest one, if that makes any sense at all. But this is a good, solid lens. It's good to upgrade from the kit lens if you're in the market to upgrade. The kit lens, the lens that came with your camera, is fantastic. And then again, like everything I talked about today, your iPhone can do. Your iPhone is actually a pretty good camera. And it does the same thing that your digital camera does. It's going to function way better and produce way better results in nice, even, well-lit rooms. So everything I said today, you can do with an iPhone. All right, that's it. Bye.